Hi, welcome to Julia's Creations. If you clicked on this video, you probably already saw several other videos from very talented artists showcasing a comparison between affordable and expensive oil pastels. What I can promise you in this video, as a complete beginner and not a professional artist, I will give you my thoughts on how the Pentel Oil Pastels compare versus the Sennelier Oil Pastels. There is a huge price difference between these two, and I want to see if I notice any difference whatsoever. If you want to see if any of these two products allow me to create a better artwork, keep on watching. I'm about to compare the Pentel Oil Pastels 50 set with the Landscape Oil Pastels set from Sennelier. I will use for this test very affordable paper. I got this from Action. It was a little bit over €1. This paper has a rough texture, so it should work with oil pastels. I've done a really rough sketch of a tree, and the page is split into two. I will do one side with the Pentel Oil Pastels and the other side with the Sennelier Oil Pastels. From the very beginning, just initial thoughts. These Pentel Oil Pastels has a very strong smell, and the Sennelier Oil Pastels are so soft that just by touching the oil pastel, I just got some staining on my hands. So they seem to be really buttery and soft compared to these ones, which basically leave little to no trace on my fingers. That's it without any kind of blending. I noticed that for the Pentel ones, so the very affordable ones, I was able to feel the tooth of the paper faster and just do some blending with the pastels themselves. Whereas the Sennelier ones are still showing, although I added a lot of layers, are still showing the tooth of the paper. So basically, if you want to combine a lot of colors on the paper, the Sennelier ones would be better because they allow you to add and add and add different layers until you are ready to blend. Regarding consistency, I noticed that the Pentel ones are harder, are like easier to control and blend, and are not like going completely on the paper with the slightest touch. So you really have to work, which is good because you then have control of the amount of color that you want to add on the paper. But it still leaves some slight rests on the paper. For example, here, so there are things that are coming away from the paper. So you really have to be careful, because if they blow and then you touch the paper where you don't want to, you will get color on that area. Whereas the Sennelier ones are not going anywhere. So they are not doing anything that you don't want them to. They stay exactly where you position them. The disadvantage is this was a brand new set, and I kind of used up a significant quantity for this side of the tree. They are buttery soft. You could imagine like a lipstick going over the paper. So just taking a lipstick and just, they slide like a dream. They are really, really buttery. But on the other hand, the amount of color you get with just a slight touch is quite significant. So if you have a heavy hand, then the Pentel ones are really easier to use because you cannot put a tremendous amount of color from one go. You just have to work for getting a lot of color. So from this perspective, I would just think that the Pentel ones are very easy for beginners or people with heavy hand that are not yet used to the oil pastels medium, whereas the Sennelier ones would be a step further in order to be able to have better control of the quantity you use. And of course, there is always the cost aspect. So when you think that the Pentel ones are really affordable, you can just worry-free practice and practice and practice. Whereas if you practice every day with the Sennelier ones, I am very certain then that very soon you will need to repurchase. So my advice, or what I'm planning to do, is basically practice, do a 30 days oil pastels challenge and exclusively use the Pentel ones. And then I will go to the Sennelier and use my knowledge and kind of my feeling that I will gain after 30 days with the Sennelier ones. The last thing I want to do is to see how they blend on the paper. And for that, I will just use a simple paper napkin and I will just blend each of the sides to see how easy it is to blend. So this is how it looks blended. Basically, the Pentel ones did not blend a lot, so I couldn't move the paper a lot. I did most of the blending in the initial step with coloring in, whereas the Sennelier ones were like a dream to blend. It was so easy, and everything, the colors sank in the tooth of the paper. So if you can notice, there is no white spots anymore. So just with a little bit of blending, everything is blended. On the other hand, you have to be careful because I was kind of exceeding the contour, and the color is so potent that it got on the outside of my tree here and also here on the tree trunk. So probably a better option would be to use something like a Q-tip or a blending tool to be able to do this properly and cleanly. So this is my sketch. I'm very happy. I'm very excited about the test I did. I am now sure how I can use these brands in my art practice. Basically, I will use up my Pentel one, just take advantage of the color variety and everything it can offer me in terms of basic blending. I'm too much of a beginner to use Sennelier because they will use up very fast, and I don't have the experience and control to be able to use that buttery consistency to its maximum potential. So I'm planning to do a 30 days oil pastel challenge where I will use exclusively this set, and I am sure that afterwards I will have a different feeling of the medium and I will be able to make better sketches with the Sennelier Oil Pastels. So I'm very excited. I do not regret buying it. You see the difference between the two. It is clear that this one is higher quality, that the blending potential and the topping up potential of the Sennelier ones are as good as it gets. But I don't need it. They are maybe too soft for me at this point where I'm not used to the medium. I will definitely share my progress with the oil pastels here on YouTube. So if you are interested to see if I evolve at all in these 30 days, then consider subscribing and I will keep you definitely updated. I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.